Hi, everyone. This is Raina Carrillo with Purpose and Passion. I am so excited because for those that do know, in the past, I had a podcast called Straight from the Streets Radio, and I am re-interviewing my girl, Quanda Graves. Correct. Okay, just want to make sure. And so Quanda is, I see a lot on her social media with marriage and love. And one thing about love is beautiful cards that you can give out to your family for their birthdays, Christmas, holidays, whenever, any special occasion. So she definitely upgraded on a few things from that long time ago, Straight from the Streets podcast. So thank you for just, blessing us with your presence and gonna explain to us about you, your business and entrepreneurship, and and also we were just talking a few minutes ago about grants,
Yes.
so you can enlighten everybody that probably don't know about these opportunities, or they might be skeptical like myself, right? And
Right.
you need a real person to say, I got it, and then it's like, okay, I want to do it too, right? So take our viewers down memory lane. Where were your parents from? Where were you born and raised?
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back
Welcome.
again, and I thank you for allowing me to come on your platform.
Yes.
My parents, kind of a strange background a little bit. My mom was born in Atlanta, Georgia, raised a little bit in Alabama, and then moved from Alabama at 9 years old to New York City. So that is like country to like upfront and in your face type of situation. I won't get too far into it, but she was like stolen from her real mom when this happened. And so that lady raised her all the way up until she was like 24, and she had her own kids, and then she moved to LA, and that's where I came in. So I had an older sister and I had an older brother, and I'm the last of her
So I'm curious because I kind of have a family story like that too.
Oh, wow.
In our family, and I know back then it was easier to kidnap children.
Yes.
And so, what age was she kidnapped?
I think it was when she was born. So what happened, I guess the lady really wanted a daughter, and she was pregnant, and I think the baby was stillborn. And they kind of all lived in the same neighborhood somewhat, and they knew of her, and one of the lady's family members knew my mother's mother, and they knew that she was ready to have a baby. And so they plotted, and they took when she was a child and raised her from that. So she was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and then they moved to Alabama. And when she hit about 9 years old, they moved straight to New York. And so that's the only lady she knew from that whole time. And then that lady died, and then she met up with her real mother later. And then they were only together for like maybe a couple of years before her real mother died.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it's like a lifetime story.
It is, and I'm writing it for her actually. Yes. I'm very excited to be doing that for my mother. She's 86. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, shout out to moms. Man, strong woman,
Yeah.
I say it's a powerful story because, a lot of people don't survive those situations.
They don't.
But in this situation, she survived it.
Without hate in her heart, without any kind of malice, without any...
Yes.
She understands that things happen. She has a very keen understanding about life.
Wow, what sign is she?
She's an Aquarius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laid back.
Yeah. But she's also perplexed and complex and intelligent and different. And she's very eclectic. She's an eclectic woman.
I'm great. I'm great. I'm grateful that she is a forgiving person.
Yes.
Because sometimes people will not be so forgiving. I had a relative, that in this situation, I believe the mother was a white prostitute. And my relative was Creole. Okay. And back in those days, he was,
Yeah.
And I guess the nurse, which was an African-American nurse, she knew about the situation and she took the daughter.
Oh, wow.
And when my cousin was like in her 20s, she was on Montel Williams' show, I believe, and everything got exposed.
Wow.
And so that brought her downhill.
Jesus.
You know, she got heavy on drugs after that. She did meet her real mother, and it wasn't what she expected. And the relative that did this is not in jail. They're still living together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
People have different stories of their lives, you know. You kind of hate that these things happen, but honestly, I think certain things that happen in our lives make us who we are.
Yes, I agree.
You become, you know, I mean, once she gets past all of this, she will become the greatest woman probably because she had to endure so much.
Yes.
Oftentimes, I feel like when you endure so much, there's so much greatness at the finish line. You know what I mean, for you.
It's just so crazy. Like when you think about those type of stories, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, like it's mind blowing, and you know, everybody's story is different, but yet it's still powerful because some people that endure that, you know, have malice, you know, they're angry, they commit suicide, they get heavy on drugs and never find themselves.
It affects them very much so in a trauma way.
So I just hearing that, like, man, your mother is definitely a good-hearted woman. I'm happy that you're able to help her tell her story.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm working on it.
So that's a blessing.
Thank you.
And with you, you know, how was, you know, your childhood?
You know what? To be honest, I had a wonderful childhood. What some people would call a broken home because I don't know my father.
Yes.
I was raised by my mom, my older sister, and my older brother. So my brother was like 40 when I was 18. So that lets you know how old. Yeah, exactly. And my sister was 6 years younger than he. So, and then I came 16 years later.
Yes, that's a big gap.
It is. Yeah. And so my brother never had any kids, but my sister had one, which is my beautiful nephew. Shout out to Bosco's Goodies. Always got to give out shout out to Bosco's Goodies. He sells tennis shoes and T-shirts. He's a tennis shoe buff. And so, but he was raised like he's my nephew, but even though we were raised like little brother and sister. So that was my family dynamic. And I feel like I had an amazing childhood because they all did their part.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course.
So my mom would like pick me up from school surprisingly and take me to the neighborhood carnivals. Remember when they used to have neighborhood carnivals?
Yes.
And my mom was like the oldest mom, right? So I have all my friends, all their moms are kind of young. My mom was like 50 during this time when I'm like 10, 12 years old. And she would get on the burlap slide with me, race me to school, stuff like that. When my sister would pick me up, I knew it was McDonald's time. I'm getting Big Mac. Remember how Big Macs used to be so good? I would get the Big Macs.
That good.
Oh my God, I don't know what they're doing now, but honestly, you guys, I promise you, those who are listening out there are new to it. McDonald's used to be delicious.
I think because it was real meat back then.
It was
like Burger King.
Yeah, so we had my sister taught me like great music, like introduced me to Prince and Janet Jackson and just alternative music, and I found music on my own. You know, she gave me great taste and great style with different things, and my mom gave me the wows of life, words of wisdom. And my brother, he was like the father figure who made sure that I understood to stay in pocket, you know what I mean, and make sure that I understand that I was a gem. As a young lady, I am a gem, and I am not allowed to give myself excessively to anyone and everyone. You know, so
that's a good thing.
It is, and so you learn. I'm not saying I haven't made any mistakes as you get older, of course, but there's a pocket you stay in when you're told, when you're like giving good advice, and when you're, you know, somebody is always there to curve you. So I don't think that I probably would have made the mistakes that a lot of young ladies do if I didn't have the whole curvage. But I did. And so that was the great thing. So my childhood was amazing. And I kind of rubbed those good habits that they had to my bonus children when we had them. So yeah, it was wonderful.
So then when it came to, you know, life, you know, we all date, you know, I see you're married. So, you know, how did you guys meet, you know, the bonus kids, and, you know, how it feels to be a mother raising children?
Ooh,
Because I got 5, so I want to hear your
Raina
story.
coming with the loaded questions. Our story, my husband and I story is a little different too, but just to give the short version of it, we both attended a junior high school. It was a private school. Langston Hughes Academy on 105th and Hoover.
Okay, I know where that's
You
at.
know what that is? It's no longer that. It's like a new Baptist church or something.
Yes.
But yeah, so he came to that school. I had been at that school for a long time. My mom had me in that school for a while. And he came and we ended up just clicking, and he was my best friend. He had became my best friend, right? So in a nutshell, he ended up talking. They used to say that he liked me. So we decided to talk. And I would say, I heard you like me. He was like, yeah, I do. But it's like this girl I've been talking to 3 months prior to knowing you. And I kind of want to see where it goes. I'm like, all right, well, see where it goes. And if it don't work out, you know,
if
come
I'm
get
single,
me. You know? And it was funny because we were like 14 and 15 having this conversation, right? It's kind of funny. But years later, he ended up hooking me up with one of his male best friends. So that became my first love, and it was wonderful. And the girl he was with, he ended up like going to Georgia. They got married. They had kids. She cheated. He cheated. So that was funny, right? And then years later, we ended up getting together, and that was all she wrote. That was it. We had always had this thing for each other, but you know, he was talking to someone, and I always respected him. Because him being that young, you know, most young boys, they want to talk to 3 and 4 and 5, 6 girls, right?
Yes, of course.
No, he's like, I like this girl. I want to see where it's going. And so that was something that I truly appreciated and respected. And that's the kind of young lady I always wanted to grow up to be. Like someone who respects other people's things, and people respect my things, and understand that there's a boundary.
You're being honest.
Yes.
Because sometimes men will not be honest. They'll try to date the girl and have you.
Exactly.
You know, in ping pong kind
exactly.
of way.
So that was already
he was being honest.
That also solidified why he was my best friend. You know what I mean? Because it was like, you're honest. We're gonna be honest with each other. We're
and you guys
upfront.
like each other, so you wanted to keep in contact with each other. Because sometimes it's best to be friends.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if things don't work out, if it's meant for you guys, you know, if God is, you know, if God is putting you guys together, eventually you guys will come back, and that's what happened.
It's true.
You know, I know he probably was like, dang, maybe I shouldn't have married this chick, went to wherever he went to.
We had our conversations.
He could have been straight with you, you know what I mean? He could have picked you and not had to deal with all that drama.
But you know what? Things happen for a reason, because I think that relationship groomed him to be able to be with someone like me.
Yes.
And that relationship that I had groomed me to be the woman that I was becoming. You know, we were young, so we were becoming, right? So once we got together, it was certain things that she may have tolerated that I was never going to tolerate, and he knew that. So that was never going to be a test for me. And there were certain things that he wanted me to be as a young lady that I probably was never going to do if I didn't have this relationship. So it was a great mesh, and we always had a great teamwork together. So I think that's what happened, and that was really all she wrote. Once we started dating, we were inseparable, and then we were trying to when we first started dating, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. I honestly thought that once he had, you know, he was divorced and stuff, so I said, oh, maybe he was gonna try and dabble around, and then we find out, oh, this isn't it, and we go back to being best friends, and he finds, you know, a girl that, but no, he was like, I want you to be my girlfriend. I was like, you sure? I'm weird and I'm crazy and I'm goofy. Are you sure? I was like, I know you know me, but I don't know. I was like, I'm a weirdo, like, you know. He was like, but that's what I like. I said, okay, you think you want to try this? So it was when we decided to come together. That's when he decided that the kids would get to know me, and we moved in together. He was like, we should move in together because I have my own place. I had just moved out. I was 22, about to take over the world. And he had his own, and we decided to be together. So we moved. I said, well, before I can move with you, let me go talk to my mom. Because even though I was 22 and I lived on my own, I made her a promise. I said that I would never move from home to a man's spot. And so she was happy that I had moved into my own apartment. I was good. And so I told her, I said, I know you're not going to approve of this, but I just wanted to let you know what my next step is going to be. And I wouldn't normally do this, but I do know that he's the one, and I do know that I will be marrying him. And so you don't have to worry. And she was like, Okay, but you're 22, so that's why the look, right?
Yeah.
But she also knew that I was like I was always a firm young lady. If I knew what I wanted, I would go get it. If I knew this is what it was. I was not a fluff type young lady. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, but it came from her and my family. They were very like upfront with me, and they didn't fluff me. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing. Because sometimes I know in my marriage I probably said I'm leaving. I don't know how many times, and I've never left.
Oh, that's different.
Gosh.
That's different. That's different.
I'm like, I wish I could just be like.
No, that's different. When we moved together, I just was, I had to learn. The longest relationship I had was 2 years before that, right? So every time I'd be like, I'm leaving. I'd be like, I can't take this. We should break up, right? And I was doing that every 5 seconds. And one day he said the sweetest thing to me. He said, come here, come sit on my lap. I was like, no, I don't have time for this. We should break up. We should just see other people. And he said, I'm trying to have a relationship because I really want to be with you. He said, but you keep breaking up every 5 minutes. And he said, that's breaking my heart. I said, oh, okay. He was like, can we like work? I was like, it was so funny to me that I didn't realize.
And my husband is more like, you ain't going to leave.
We wasn't husband and wife yet. We was working toward it. That is hilarious.
Oh my God.
He knows. He knows.
And I think because it's like, because I always tell people like, we're young women, right? And then we've never been married. So we're still in that immature stage, like if we were like teenagers or young adults, right?
Yes.
We're like, I'm leaving. I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't have time for this.
Yeah. It's like you look back and you're like, oh God. Like I just want him to just run after me, like a little kid.
Sometimes that's what's needed,
So
and when we did that, it was
funny.
He was pretty okay, and I was like, okay, this is gonna work. And then it was wonderful. I always said I wanted to marry for love. I did. Yes. I said I wanted to get married at 26. I did. Yes. I said I wanted to marry like the guy who loves me the way that I love him, and I did. And so that was it. I'm not saying we didn't have any problems. I'm not saying we haven't had any turmoil. I'm not saying we didn't go through anything, break up and get back together. We actually like separated on like after like maybe 12 years of marriage. Yes. For about 2 years, it was like a whole thing, and then we got back together. Once we learned to work this out. It
happens like that because I think sometimes like when you have that separation, not in this situation, but in sometimes in separation, people go dabble and have their fun, and then they realize that everything that they wanted to go have fun it's not worth it. Yeah. Or the woman that they can see or meet it's not the same feeling. Yeah. So then
and they've grown used to quality habits too.
And then the separation kind of like I miss them, like I need them in my life.
And sometimes it's not even about infidelity. Sometimes people get, a lot of women, I can attest for women sometimes, not all, but some, we get lost in our relationship and we forget about who we are, like who we are as creative beings, who we are as passion beings, just our dreams and our goals. They kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. And even though you're holding on, it's a very thin string. And why now you're like taking care of kids, you're helping your husband, everybody is on the backs of you and climbing the ladder of your back, and you're the one that's still on the ground and haven't flown yet, right? Yes. You haven't soared, you haven't and now everybody is out there like kites, and you're like, but what about me? And this, you know. And when that started to happen, we needed to kind of separate to say like, look, I was like, my creativity is dying within inside because nothing is coming out, and you need an outlet, and this isn't working, and this isn't, you know what I mean? So we knew that we loved each other, but there was something that said we needed to separate to reconfigure. And sometimes I believe the Lord separates things to bring back things together to put it back the way it was supposed to be. Yeah, and that happens. And so, all the time.
That's a deep conversation, man.
Man, that's how we got to 20 years and altogether 24 years.
And that's how I feel like kind of right now, a little bit right now. And except you said something so powerful, because I am running for office. You know what I mean? Like I'm following my dream because I kept putting it on the back burner.
Putting it on hold.
And finally I'm just like, I need to just do this because
right time is ever going to come.
Exactly. So I'm doing it, but at the same time.
And congratulations, by the way. I am so proud of you.
And I'm trying to find that outlet.
Yes.
Because I feel like there's some things inside of me that are dying.
Yes.
And, you know, when my husband goes out and have his fun on his Harley Davidson every Saturday and Sunday, I feel neglected but I also feel neglected because maybe I'm not finding my fun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm always focused on him. And
Yes.
and I need to find my fun. And I'm just like, wow, just having this conversation just made me realize that I need to find my fun.
But to be honest and see that, most people will just put it on the husband, right?
Yeah.
You understand that you need to have a girl time. You need to have girls day. You need to
Yes.
find what makes you happy, because once that focus is taken off of him and how he goes Harley Davidson on Saturday and Sunday,
Yes.
when you guys get back together, it's even that much more sweeter because you've had your time to decompress. You've had your time
Yes.
to release and have fun and kind of, relax yourself.
Relax because,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like you were saying, like you just feel at the bottom, everybody's just, like a kite,
Yeah.
just going to town. And I'm like,
all these birds in the sky.
yeah, and I'm looking like, I don't have no babysitter. I got to watch all these kids. I can't have fun. He's over there having fun every Saturday and Sunday. He don't give, we try to do the date night on Friday. If we argue, we don't have date night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, but it was just so weird how you just said right now, I need to find my fun time.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look for a babysitter I trust to watch my kids so I can have that fun time.
Can I share something with you?
Yes, please.
I never thought that I would be quoting this, but a friend of mine, my Chalet, thank you, Boo. She sent me this book. She bought a book, and it's called "We Should All Be Millionaires" by Rachel Rodgers. Now, I'm gonna be honest, that's not really a book I would necessarily pick up because I always find like it's a lot of fluff for me. Like, I'm like, can you just tell me? I don't want to read 213,000 pages
about being a millionaire.
But I'm actually on page 56, right? And this is what she said. She has this thing called millionaire bad habits, right? Like bad habits and millionaire good habits, right? And she was saying that it's this woman. She was like, she has like 3 or 4 kids and she's married and she's the one that do all the cooking and cleaning and this and that. They both got jobs. He comes home, he does nothing. He like does what he wants to do, but she's like doing laundry, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, the habit is that you haven't delegated your kids to do this, or you haven't delegated your kids to do that to free up more time for you to do this. He was home before you, so why hadn't he did dinner? You understand what I'm saying? Like, there needs to be a balance, and you need to not take it off. Yes.
A macho role, like that's your job.
And that's what she was saying. But at the same time, this is a conglomerate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now we have added children to the mix. So really, all the load should fall on me because you think like that's not good. So what she was saying is that the millionaire good habits is basically learning how to delegate, teaching your kids the things that they actually can learn instead of you doing it yourself. Making sure that you tell him that he needs to cook like maybe 2 or 3 times out of the week.
Buy some darn pizza.
Exactly.
I'll take that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Look, we don't need a lot.
He used to buy pizzas on Tuesdays, and now he has no pizza. I'm just like,
you better tell him to figure out Nell's hamburgers. Tell him to switch it up.
I'm like, can you start doing the pizza thing on Tuesdays? Give me a break.
And I thought that was interesting. That's what she was saying.
That.
Like, create the habits of other things that can free up your time. Yes. So make sure that they clean up and they sort their clothes, right? If you're going to be washing or teach them, you got the oldest kid, teach how to wash.
12-year-old
twins. They need to know how to wash. They need to know how to wash dishes because these are things that they're learning for their lives. This is not about making your kids slaves or anything like that.
No, but it's responsibility.
It is responsibility. They need to have chores.
Yes, they have chores. They wash dishes. One person Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, And sometimes I get overwhelmed because I have the last twins. The last twins are 4. And so I told the kids, like, you need to straighten up the living room because I understand men. Men don't like to come to a dirty house, but I'm like, it's 5 kids.
Neither do women.
Yeah, that part.
Do you like it?
Yeah, when I left to come here, I looked at the living room when I left my house to come here, and I'm just like, oh God, I'll do it, when I get back home and delegate, so I have to be more consistent in delegating. Yeah. I have to.
To him too?
Yeah, remind my husband, like, hey, on Tuesdays, can you buy pizzas?
Yes.
Because I'm tired.
I have an article that I read called The 50 Things That Makes You Most Happy. And one of the things that I have adapted from there is when I wake up, I make up the bed. Because the one thing I learned about myself.
I used to do that.
I did too, and then I fell off.
Yes.
Yes. And then I said, that's true. He was like, because if you make up the bed, you already feel accomplished early in the morning. Yes. Right? And I was learning.
It makes your room look nice.
It does. Look, and I used to be like, wait a minute. I realized that I didn't like coming home to a messy bed.
Yes.
Because now I'm tired. I can't even just crawl in. I gotta make the bed too. Like that used to get on my nerves.
Better than me. I just jump in that little
Oh my
messy
God,
bed.
that's what I would do. But I noticed how better I would feel when it was made when I came home.
Yes.
And I would just be.
No, when I go back home and make my bed.
You know what? You're gonna thank me at 10 o'clock tonight.
I am. So talking about thanking you, I want to thank you for your creativities, because I want you to talk about these.
Okay. I'm going to talk about them. First
like
of all,
these three.
thank you for having me from Straight from the Streets when I first started.
Yes.
Raina had me when I first started. I was just getting started on my business. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Quanda Graves. I am an author, a poet, a businesswoman, a journalist, and many other things. And I have basically incorporated myself to QS Simple Treasures and Greetings, LLC, which means I'm just a poet with products. I am in love with love, and I've always wanted to be a greeting card writer and a greeting card creator because I love greeting cards. And once Blue Mountain rejected me, I was like, you don't stop anything. I'm gonna create my own stuff.
That's right.
And so the first one, it was Sometimes I Wish, but I don't have those here. They're in their second printing. Sometimes I Wish, and then next I brought out Why Don't We? And the reason why they're Why Don't We, because the messages are like, why don't we? And then when you turn it to the back, it says, take a day off, go to the beach, take off your shoes, and play in the sand. These are just about reminders of people to remember, to keep sparking their relationship. And I remember, I know how I feel when my husband comes in the room. I know how I feel when he's like, come on. I'm like, where are we going? And he was like, come on, let's just go. And then we just drive down the coast. Yes, me too. And we used to do this often. Like we would find our ways on the beach, and it would be like beef jerky for me and coffee, and he'd get something and get like some hot cocoa, and we just sit under the stars at night and just talk about dreams and goals. And I think that's very important. And so when he saw these, he thought these were like really great and creative.
I know. Why don't you?
Yes, why don't you come home tonight, turn off the lights, cuddle and hold me tight till the morning.
Aww.
So
that's a Valentine for real.
Oh, and this one is your husband should buy this.
Why don't you?
Why don't you take a load off while I run an errand with the kids? Give you time to yourself like I had before you got here.
Oh, that's a nice one. I love that.
And then the last one is, read this one.
Why don't you?
Call in sick and I'll do the same. You'll get the chocolate and covered strawberries, and I'll get the movies and champagne, and we'll meet back at home.
Oh my gosh. And I like this one.
Oh my God. So this is the I'm Sorry, the art collection.
Okay.
These have messages, but right now I'm doing blank because they are selling a lot more because they're blank, and because people seem to really in love with the art, which I do too. Thank you, Lilith Sarkeesian, and thank you, Ashley, for doing these. I hired these illustrators to bring my vision to life. I created these, and they just drew them out. I drew them out, and they laughed at my drawing. I was like, but that's why you're here.
Yes.
So this is I'm Sorry. So if you ever want to say sorry, they're blank on the back. But if you ever want to say sorry, you're mending the heart. There's I'm sorry with the rose.
Aww.
You're getting your friendship back on track or your relationship back on track.
Oh my God.
Bowl of fruit. And then, of course, we have drinks. You want to go out for drinks and say?
You can't be like, I'm sorry, we argued. Can we go get some drinks? That's like, okay.
That's right. And
that's
then
me.
See, and that's what that one has. The message, one of the messages does have that. And this is I'm sorry, knight in shining armor. And then this one, the one that message that I didn't bring, it has I'm sorry. And then when you open it, it says he sucks. Or I'm sorry. And it says she sucks. Talk about straddling the fence, right?
Yeah, that's so funny. But that's comedy right there.
Yeah. So I really, those are the cards that I created. I'm working on the third, which is just really simple, and I can't wait to bring the design. That's exciting. I can't talk about it right now, but that one is really just everyday cards.
I would like to see some hood cards.
You know what? I'm working on it. Oh my God. Hey, there is somebody who actually have cards. It's all from Friday base.
Oh my God.
And he has some with Lolo's on it. Trust me, they are good. I don't know his name.
That is so funny.
I'll show it to
I
you.
have those kind of jokes on the side.
Of course.
So people be like, okay, Raina, we know this is from you.
Right. So I created this poem called Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived. It was part 1 and part 2. That is like, I'm kind of known for that poem. It's inspiring. Yes. So I decided to make a tea with my favorite flavors. It took me a year to make. It's called Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived, Oolong Tea. It's an oolong tea, and it is comprised of strawberry, jasmine, and peppermint.
Sweet.
It's just really nice. It has a perfect blend. We have a Google page. You can check it out. QS Simple Treasures and Greetings LLC. Just type that in Google, and you'll see our Google page, and you'll see all the 22 reviews, 5 stars of this tea and the books and all. And so this, I say, Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived. Oolong Tea gives you happy tongues and joyous taste buds.
That's right.
Right? And so we sell the shirts too. Thank you. And Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived. And that's my quote from my, my name is Until. My poet name is Until.
Yes, Until.
Yep. And this is my very first book called I Just Want to Write. This was published in 2014. Still does really wonders. It's not just a poetry book. It has essays, food for thought pieces, and quotes and things. And it's about people following their dreams and not placing their dreams in the hands of others without staying connected.
Oh my God, that is so powerful.
I was a late bloomer in poetry before I knew that there were other people doing poetry too. And I was just like, I felt like I was so behind. But then I realized that poetry is really just my heart and soul, and it has no room for competition. This is just me expressing myself, and the people who feel the same that I feel, they will gravitate to me. And that's how I feel. And then this came out during the pandemic in 2020 called Dreaming of a Place. I just wanted to give people daydreams of different poems and songs that made me come up with these poems to give them a temporary moment away from COVID-19, police brutality, all the corruption that was happening. This was really, it's called Dreaming of a Place on the Wings of My Imagination.
Wow.
Right? And since I've been on Straight from the Streets, the Why Don't Bright Idea Love Series greeting cards that were featured in Heart London magazine since when I left you about a year after. And then Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived, Oolong Tea was featured in Cuisine Noir Food and Lifestyle magazine in 2020. And so I'm working to get the tea in stores, and that's where we are.
Oh my gosh. So since you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And very talented.
Oh, thank you.
What if a youth, because I'm going to my first pop-up in August for youth that are children that are entrepreneurs. If a youth that have talents of drawing, how would you tell them, how can they start something like this?
From home. I actually have a little I don't know if it's a little pamphlet, but I say a little document that tell people how to start. And I'm currently working on my 3rd book that says, you want to start a business? You want to write a book? Here you go. And it's really it's going to be under like 60 pages.
That is awesome. Because I was trying to think, because I know there's a lot of young people that have talent in art. They
don't know where to start.
They don't know what to do with that talent.
No.
And then on top of that, you're talking about books, you know, or teas or whatever it is, right? Because I always tell people, let's say me and you have the book and everything. I don't, but I have a desire to write a book about my life. Sometimes people will block you. So I would say, can you help me write a book? And you're like, oh no, I don't know how to do that. And you did it. Yeah. So there's a lot of people in the world that does that.
And that irritates me very badly.
And I feel that God has given you the gift to do this. And your gift is also to share with other people, because my clientele won't pull from yours. Meaning like,
Exactly. And even if it does, you can cross over a clientele. Yes. I think a lot of people are so worried about somebody surpassing them.
Taking their stuff.
Because we do have people that do that. And then they're also worried about people who, they're also worried about giving away information for free. Right? And I understand that too, because you want to get paid. Nobody wants to work. Of course. Nobody wants to work for free, right? But I also, the way I feel too is, when you share things, the Lord will always bless you back. One of my favorite scriptures, I don't know like the book, but my mother used to always say it. She was like, remember, when you give to the poor, you lend to the Lord. So I always like to add back to that, like, well, imagine the payback.
And then in the Bible says, God loves cheerful givers.
Oh my God, cheerful givers. And he's saying when you give, you're lending to him. So basically, if you give somebody $5, the Lord's like, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Because I see you doing workshops on Zoom, because I will be the first person to sign up for the book, because
that was my first one. Someone commissioned me to do DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes.
And they said, can you add poetry? So I put DEI meets poetry. And I did it at USC Marshall School of Business, where I won a Luminary Award earlier this year. So I'm happy about that. And then also I wanted to let you know, because I hadn't talked to you, that I was nominated for the Los Angeles Women's Entrepreneurship Leadership Award for the Los Angeles Business Journal last year.
Oh my God.
So I didn't win, but I was nominated. Yes, and people don't know how big that is for the Los Angeles Business Journal.
Yes.
So holla to Tanisha.
I'm gonna tell you
thanks for winning the
something. You
nomination.
said something key, because the new, I'm a part of the Inglewood Rotary Club, and the Inglewood Rotary Club, they were saying the president was talking about that. The thing you just said. It just,
Los Angeles Business Journal?
No, the other part. Inclusive or something.
Oh,
like
diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's all over the world now, but people don't know how to implement it or approach it. And that's why I wanted it to meet poetry, because they're very much alike.
Yeah. So with that, I would like to extend, a beautiful olive branch to where you can be a guest speaker and talk about how you've done it in that way through your poetry, so then you can bring all of this there.
I would greatly appreciate that, and I would take that olive branch.
Yes, and I think it would be a very great idea, because that's what they were talking about. The first woman president of the Rotary Club.
Wow.
All over the world.
Oh, wow.
And she talked about those three principles: the inclusion,
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes, I can't, it keeps falling out of my head.
It took a minute for me. I actually took a DEI course from eCornell. Thank you, Tanisha.
And that's important to share at that day, because we were like women, and they're like, yeah, you're a part of that.
Yes.
Because of that. And I'm just like, okay, so I would love to have you on the show. And also, well, before we close too, I wanted to see if you can express what does it mean, since you took the class for those three inclusion.
Okay, so the way I would look at it, it kind of opened my eyes, because at the end of the day, in a short summary, I look at things as right or wrong. Yes. Bottom line. Yes. Right? If you're talking and I overcut you, that's just wrong. I may not know it. That's probably just a bad habit of mine, but that's just wrong, right? So basically, DEI is all about microaggressions and making sure that everybody is included, everybody has good habits. It's just the bottom line. Wow. That's really what that is. And making sure that if you have the power, you have the influence to bring diversity. So a lot of people get diversity wrong. If you have 10 Caucasian men in a conference, right, and they say you have no diversity, they bring in a white woman. That's not diversity. It's still not diversity. Yes. You added a woman, yes, but there is no color here. Yes. So a lot of people don't pay attention to that. So I don't know if people remember, but Beyonce went to, I'm not sure if it was Adidas or one of them, but they went to, she went to a conference with them. Yes. And when she went to the conference with them, it was all Caucasian people. And so she said, you have no people of color. That doesn't mean just black. You have no Indian, you have no Asian, you have nothing. Yes. So how can you relate to me? How can you tell me? You know what I mean? How can, who do you have anybody that can relate to me and relate to you what I want? Yes. And so she left. And she found another, I think it was Adidas she went to or something like that, who had diversity and equity, where everybody had great stock in themselves, inclusion, everybody was involved. Yes.
That is powerful.
So you have to be careful when people say, oh yeah, we are DEI invested. No. Let's see what that means. Yeah. Because if you're all white, even if you're all black in the conference room and you have nothing else in here, that's how, like that. You know what I mean?
I like that, because diversity is important.
It is.
Like for example, my mentor and friend, Quandas Bar, Lux Media is her baby, and her business. And so we're having an event, and so she has, white women, Latina, and she's about to get an African American. that is diversity.
It is.
Because now a white, a black, and a brown can feel comfortable attending the event.
They don't have to feel like the only one in the room.
Yes,
And then sometimes we have the only one in the room, and you're like, if you only have one white person in the room and all the blacks, this is not the full spokesperson for all Caucasians. You have all white people in a room and one black. This is not the full spokesperson for all black people. You know what I mean? People are colorful, and just because we're black doesn't mean we all share the same, but we do have the background. We share the same background as far as like our heritage and that kind of stuff. But as far as like the background, where I was raised, you may not have been raised. You know what I mean? Where I come from, you may not have come from.
And I'm happy that you're expressing this on the podcast because it's important. It was something that I didn't fully understand. I knew what diversity is, but I was just trying to figure it all out. And for you just to share that today, you educated our viewers and myself.
Nice.
And before we close off, I wanted to have you share where can our viewers find you on social media, a website, how can they order your shirt, your cards, your books, and your tea.
It is simple. Untilnomore.net. That's UNTILNOMORE.net. You will see QS Simple Treasures and Greetings, and you will see all of I even have framed art. All of my framed greeting cards is beautiful, and I really enjoy it. I like to call myself an inspirationalist. I am living to inspire, to motivate, and encourage through any creative medium that I see fit. And that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I enjoy. And you can also check out Until TV on YouTube. That is where I interview prominent people of things. And I say as Until TV, you never know what you'll see on Until TV. We have interviewed Sharon Ransom, the legendary Richard Hunt. He is a sculptor. You know him. He is a sculptor, and he is 86 years old and still doing it. Obama has commissioned him. He just won the Legendary and Legends Award of 2022. If you go to my YouTube, you will see it. It is a wonderful interview. He is an amazing person and just a great personality. Like, he's just wonderful. He's warm, he's kind,
to me,
and he
this
loves
is all art. Book,
all
art.
of it. Yes.
How can our younger people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram.
Instagram is. I'm 40 something and on Facebook.
Man, I got Facebook, but I really don't use Facebook. But it's all connected together. Like, I'm on TikTok, QS Simple Treasures. I'm on Instagram, QS Simple Treasures, or Until No More. Dreams Are Meant to Be Lived. Oolong Tea is Dreams Tea on Instagram. So you can always find all of these things, and so I create things. Until's Book of the Week. You'll find me everywhere. Just go to untilnomore.net. I promise you'll enjoy what I have. Thank you so much, Raina.
Man, thank you for just being here.
I so appreciate you
sharing your gifts, because these are gifts. Like, you know what I mean? This is talent, gifts, your passion, your purpose to give back to people, and enlighten them through poetry, through reading. So I just want to thank you for blessing Purpose and Passion on the Lux Media. Thank you so much. So this is Raina Carrillo signing out. I hope you enjoyed your day as much as I did today.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient Nasset. Nasset increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.